get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a definite special episode today. Talking with the homie Chef Authorized himself, aka the man in the building, aka the TikTok special, aka Dearden. What's up, my guy?
What's up, man? I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. First of all, hey, you know what though? Let's get right into why TikTok is so weird right now, man. Dude, there are all these videos are being taken down, and I'm like so frustrated, man. Like, I got to be honest. Usually, I don't let it get to me, but like it just sparked it. So the thing is I actually film 4K and I edit, and you know what I'm saying. I do a lot to create these little 60-second videos. And the fact that a lot of them are getting taken down with no reason whatsoever, like just...
Did you get stuff taken down?
Yes. Yeah. And it's actually pretty frustrating. So, yeah. And so like what I realized is that TikTok is using bots now to check through comments and videos and look for certain words. So your video could get banned like right away. You know what I'm saying? It is. So it's like I'm actually about to change directions and do more like duets and things that are more easy so I can keep the content going. And I'm gonna transition to IG YouTube more often, because I'll tell you what, man, it's frustrating. Like the first couple of videos, I was like, all right, no problem. Like, it's all good. But like it completely messed up my content schedule. So I post at least a video. Ooh. Yeah, I post at least 7 to 10 videos a week. And to edit these, you know what I'm saying, and get them posted out. But when one comes down, that completely screws my video for that day. But anyway, that's I got a little beef with TikTok right now. But it's all good. Right now. You know, the thing is what people don't take in consideration is like, it's not your platform. It's not your business. They can do whatever they want. But I just think it's I learned my lesson when I posted, a video with my kid in it and he didn't have a shirt on. You know what I'm saying? And they take that really seriously. But at least somebody was able to get back to me and say, hey, it's because of the kid. Or whatever, but yeah. Anyway, I'll stop ranting now. But dude, it's frustrating, man.
The only videos that got taken out from me was because I was sharpening my knife. It was on a live. Yeah. I was like, it's not like it's cutting me or anything, and I specifically said, I was like, hey, I'm just sharpening my knives. I was explaining, these are some of the process, etc. Took that stuff down. Like, I wasn't really showing anything. Like, I don't understand.
But see, at least that's, you know what? Like, I totally get that. So when I did the knife sharpening thing, like, I was totally ready for it to get taken down. But man, when you like buy the products and you like, make this dish or make these dishes or make this thing, and then you edit it, that process takes a few hours. You know what I'm saying? From start to finish. So when you go to post it, like the first time, it's like, okay, if it gets taken down, all right, you get it. But then you like go through the video and you're like, okay, what did I say? Did I do anything? And there's just no like explanation. And that's what like rubs me the wrong way. But at least it's not just me; it's a ton of creators that's happening to, especially creators that have a lot of hate comments.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Maybe it's the haters be like, no, I don't like this guy. I just report. Yeah, Maybe that's how it is.
Good. Yeah, it's all good.
Now we already took some stance on social media, but like I just wanted to take your kind of pick your brain on it. How did you fare on Insta and Facebook, if that any applied or anything? Because when I was doing my whole run of that, so give you a little background, I've been at YouTube for like 4 years, Facebook for like decades, Insta pretty much the same time as my YouTube because I wanted to join them together, but no like real boom. Because I'm expecting most everyone saying maybe 10 years it'll take before your platform even makes a good uphill. But other than that, how is that faring for you? When did you start? If you did start, etc.
So basically, I got to be honest, man. I haven't been on Facebook that much at all, right?
Yeah, me too.
It's just like I'm not really big into social media until like till the pandemic hit. But Instagram is tough. I've had a couple videos pop off, but mostly it's consistency. But TikTok right now is the most organic reach. And, I would, it's just tough because obviously it changes, but I've been on TikTok for over, I would say almost a year now. I've been on IG since 2015. You got to remember, man, I grew up in a kitchen where if you had your cell phone on the line, bro, you were getting crushed. Okay. Yeah. Just as well as I know, Chef Salty, you ain't pulling your cell phone out during service. Bro, I used to leave it in my locker. There was no way I would take pictures of food. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't like, it's not that it was it's just shunned on. You wouldn't have your cell phone on the line. But then like in 2015, 2016, when I was actually in charge, like it became more acceptable. right?
Yeah.
Like around that area, it was like, okay, it's cool. Like, people are posting their food on IG and all that. So, this is
Mm.
acceptable. But that's when I started to really get into social media. Like, and I gotta be honest, I'm kind of mad at myself. Listen, I've had a YouTube channel since like 2010.
Oh wow,
Okay.
my guy.
I
That's a
know, I
while.
know, I know, man. And guess what? I didn't do anything because of, just being a little bitch, to be honest. And
Mm.
then the only thing that I started to take seriously is when I was going to go on to Top Chef,
Got
and
it.
I made it to the final, like, final casting. And then I'm so glad they didn't choose me because, but anyway, I had to post some videos on YouTube unlisted. And then that was when I was like, you know what? I need to do YouTube more often. And I'm so mad I didn't, because I'm telling you, I'd be a billionaire right now
Mm.
if I
Wait,
would
wait,
have
just, hold
started.
on. You said
If I,
Top Chef. Wait. You said Top
yeah,
Chef, my guy. You said
yeah,
no to Top Chef, or you didn't get
yeah.
chosen.
Yeah, I didn't get chosen. No,
Oh, well,
I've made it
screw
to the
them.
final casting. I made it to the final casting, and the thing is me and my business partner at that time, where he's an entertainment lawyer, and
Okay.
he scared the shit out of me because I was just like, dude, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. Blah blah blah. Like, I'm going to the final casting. I went to LA and everything. I was living in Las Vegas, and he's like, hey man, I just are you sure you want to do this, because they take 30% of what you make for the next X amount of years. And I'm like, what?
What?
And he's like, yes, 30% of what you make for the next X amount of years. He's like, so you're pretty much signing a deal with the devil. And, obviously you get some notoriety, but like the problem is we had like a pop-up, we had a mini business, you know what I'm saying?
Uh,
And so he's like, I just want to make sure you're okay with it. But then I started thinking about it, because it's like, you have to, like pick and choose your battles.
mm,
But I'm glad I actually ended up not going on the show. I was working for Wolfgang Puck at the time, and there was
mm.
just a conflict of interest because he was going to be a judge on the show. So
Flex. Just drop
yeah,
Wolfgang's name, Flex.
well, yeah. Listen, I worked for Wolfgang for years, man. You know what? I should
Mm.
talk a little bit about my history.
We'll do that. We'll do that in a little bit. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
We got a few
So
now.
back to the original question. So social media for me has kind of been up and down. I made a couple videos on TikTok that popped off, and I just rode the wave, right?
Uh,
So, one was controversial, and then I was just doing a lot of, research on and basically when you have a video that starts to go viral, like I don't know if this works anymore, but you want to reply to as many comments as possible with the video at like,
ah,
and this, like, literally, I had like, there was a whole week where I just had viral after viral video, and it
nice.
really, really, but in all honesty, I don't think that's the best way to go about it, because, with when you gain a whole bunch of followers, some of those followers are no bueno, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, seriously, like it's like who was I telling? I was telling Ryan Cook, dude. This guy has viral videos every single time he posts. But
Hmm.
the thing is like, I would be nervous because, they're not like, you get these little young kids that aren't really invested in you um, as a creator.
Yeah.
So when you have a sponsorship deal, right, or when you have something, when you're trying to promote something or sell something, it ends up not working out, right, because they're not going to move on the product. So
Got
what
it.
you and I learned this. I learned this in a good way, because it's what they're looking for is engagement, and actually who is willing to invest or spend money with you as a creator.
I
Yeah.
understand you. Wow. That's a pretty good segue, because like at one point, so the company I worked for wouldn't allow me to participate at the time. It was Chopped was the shit. It was on Food Network. Everyone wanted to go into it. I actually managed to get to the casting, and
Oh,
we
nice.
were going to move. But however, they noticed. I think it was like day 4 or something. I had an NDA with my company. They're like, "Hey, FYI, just read this. This is from your company." And I was like, I can't. So
Yeah.
they wouldn't allow me to get on to. I guess I'm assuming just on
Chop.
national
Yeah.
TV. Yeah,
Yeah.
which sucked, because like I would have loved to be.
But you know what? You know what? That's why now yeah, that's why now, like, any moves you make, you have to be really careful. Like, they're not going to your company's not going to come after you for the non-disclosure, but believe
Mm,
it's not worth the mistrust. And
yeah.
like, when you're a W-2 employee for somebody else, it's
Mm,
very important that you kind of like play by the rules. And here's the thing, man, like, I remember, like even now, like, I can't talk about where I work, and I'm not going, like, but it
Correct.
sucks because I don't have any like notoriety. I don't have any like reputation. I can't show the food that I create. I can't
Yep.
like talk about any of that. But you know what? It's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not like, but it's okay. I mean, it's not, it's not forever. But I think what's in my experience with signing a non-disclosure, it's just they're not going to sue you, but it's just better to just live like you have to understand you're an employee and you work for them 24/7.
Yeah.
Like, but my brother was on Chopped. He made it on Chopped, and his
Oh,
company actually,
nice.
yeah, they actually supported. I think he lost though. He made it to the final round and lost, but
Oh, that's
still
okay.
good.
That
Yeah,
is
and
very
for me,
cool.
it's funny because I never really was interested in anything. I had a chance to go on Bobby Flay. My brother went on Bobby Flay. We were supposed to go together, but again, with my work, it's just like I couldn't do it. So, but I think that's what happens with a lot of people. That's why they get like a lot of restaurant owners or
They do.
people that run the restaurant or like food trucks or whatever. That makes it a little bit more
Mm.
feasible. Yeah.
Wow. That's so it's almost like we have the same kind of thing going on. But that was the only opportunity, at least for me, to go into like maybe Food Network ish, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was just like I was just so busy at the time. I was only kitchen manager though, so
Oh,
I had
okay.
time. I had the time.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
I wasn't
See, that's
exec, so but
yeah,
still
that's tough.
NDA, and I got another 5 years on those NDA, which is quite intense,
Yeah.
nonetheless. Now
But
moving
you know what?
to
That situation will make you smarter now, and you'll realize, and you'll be more, elegant in those negotiations. Because I'm telling you right now, everything's negotiable, man. Everything,
yeah,
you
definitely
know.
is
And the way I say it is like it's better to ask for forgiveness nowadays opposed to asking for permission. So just
yeah,
keep that in mind because it's like like I try to tell chefs nowadays, man. Like if you're not building your personal brand on the side, you're wasting your time, man.
correct,
Like
definitely.
especially with social media. Think about this: if you were in culinary school, Casey, and back in the day, if you could take pictures and build your portfolio as you went out throughout your career,
Hmm.
you'd be in a better place right now, my guy.
Yeah,
Because you can explain your career in a 2-3 minute video, opposed
correct.
to just like where we started off was a couple of years ago, starting to document. You
Uh
know,
huh. I mean, I started document like way earlier than you, where I just wasn't telling anybody. I
smart.
got footage all the way down to like 2006. I just never,
Mm,
we weren't allowed to because I would get in trouble. But
yeah.
now the reason I want to talk to you because I think we're the same kind of soul. When I first came onto your page, it was funny. I don't know if you remember. It's like ages ago. But you were plating. I forget what dish you were plating. You were plating something. I was like, hey, I think it would have popped better if it was on like a black plate. I think you were plating something white, and you plated
Yeah.
on like an off-white dish. I was like, man, I think it would have been just stellar if you plated that on a black. You're like, oh, I got just the homewares. I don't have the restaurant stuff yet. And you were like
Yeah.
immediate follow. I was like, wow, this guy's for real. Followed you right away. Soon after that, and then I literally checked out all your stuff. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this dude's what's up. Now the question is, if I know you can't talk about some of the restaurants you're working. However, if you can, I don't want to say paraphrase, but would you consider explaining how you came up as a chef? What started
Oh
you
yeah,
the whole
I can talk about
journey?
all that. Yeah, I just can't talk
Mm,
about my current position
of
too much.
course, of
But
course.
yeah, but anyway, yeah. So basically, listen, man, it's I knew I wanted to be a chef. I'll give you the short summary.
Mm,
So I knew I wanted to be a chef young, which I think worked to my advantage. So I was 14 years old. My mother and father were separated; they were never married, and we
mm-hmm,
used to visit my father on the weekends. And basically, he was a bartender at a restaurant and worked at a car dealership on the weekdays. And he was a bartender slash manager, and so we would be chilling in the office. But then as we got older, like when we hit 14, we would help out. We would wash dishes. We would,
mm,
you always need hands in a restaurant. And I was so
always.
intrigued by the cooks yelling back and forth, and like the fire and the tickets rolling in, and them screaming at each other. Where I was like, damn, that looks so much fun. And
Mm-hmm,
I'll tell you what, man, it sparked something in me that I never knew I had. And what ended up happening was somebody didn't show up. I ended up being able to get a prep position. Started by
nice.
washing a fryer, but I was so excited to clean the fryer. I was like, "Hey, man, I'll clean the fryer for you." You know what I'm saying? Like it was great. And the guy was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, here you go." Like, who cares? I don't care if you're 14, burn yourself. I don't want to clean the fryer. But
Mm-hmm,
then I remember starting to be a short order cook at this diner, and I remember when I would like I was so in love with the process of cooking, and I remember telling my father I wanted to be a chef at 16. Like, I was like, I think this is what I want to do. And I'll tell you what, I've never even considered of doing anything else. But from there, I just knew that, I worked in a professional kitchen. I, worked in a couple corporate kitchens.
Yeah.
And then I went to culinary school at Florida Culinary Institute in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Got it.
And then that I would say that's where my career really started, was in culinary school. I wouldn't say the same nowadays, but I started there. And at that time I was working at Cheesecake Factory. Big no, right? But here's the thing. I didn't know any different. You know what I'm saying? I just went for the money. I didn't know. I was like, okay, they're going to pay. Basically, the way the kitchen manager was like, hey, you can start here at $13 an hour and you get 50 cents each station you learn. And I was like, what? Oh my goodness. And I'm telling you, that seems very lucrative for a young cook, dude. Especially when I was making like $9.50 an hour, right? And so, of course, I signed on right away. And it's funny because my chef instructor, I forgot what his name was. I feel so bad, but he was like, "Hey, listen, you are so talented. You literally have you have what it takes. You have the drive, you have the attitude. Your knife skills are really good, but they're not awesome." And he's like, "You need to get out of Cheesecake Factory." And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, how is this? Like, who is he to tell me to give up my bread and butter? But anyway, needless to say, I met this chef at the Breakers Resort, and the Breakers Resort on Palm Beach is 5-star, 5-diamond, and I'm going to call it. I did like an apprenticeship there. So basically, I started working there. I learned 8 out of the 9 restaurant concepts. I worked my way all the way up to tournat sous chef, and what I realized is I was just I kind of capped out in learning, and there was no more upward progression for me. So I ended up getting a job right down the street at Cafe Balud on Palm Beach. And I worked with Danielle Chef Zach, and Danielle was there a lot because we were opening up DB Bistro in Miami. So that window of time, I was really lucky to be able to work with him one-on-one, which was great. And then from there, I knew that I wanted to expand. I knew Florida wasn't it for me, man. So I was like, all right, we got to figure this out. So me and my girlfriend at the time, we moved to Las Vegas. I was supposed to end up working at Joel Robuchon, but my background check didn't go through because of something stupid for a citation, bro, for a window tint.
Wow.
And I was devastated, man. I mean, I was so devastated because once your background gets denied in the union property, that's it. 6 months. You can't do anything about it.
Correct.
You have to wait 6 months. So anyway, I got a job working at Cut Steakhouse, Wolfgang Puck Cut. And I was there for a short amount of time. And during the time that I was freaking out, I was staging everywhere possible. And I actually ended up staging at Oriole at Mandalay Bay, which is Charlie Palmer's restaurant. And what was good is I went into that place on fire, bro, on fire.
Yeah,
and
I could assume
needless
so.
to say, 3 months later, he made me an offer for a sous chef position, and I took it. And I remember going up to the chef at Cut. I'm like, "Hey, listen, at Oriole, they're offering me a sous chef position, right now. And if you don't have sous chef position for me, then I'm going to go take this position."
Of course.
And he's like, "Hey, listen, I don't have a sous chef position for you today." But I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll give you my 2 weeks notice and then we'll just, move on. But I want to leave on amicable terms, whatever."
Of course.
So anyway, I started at Oriole as a sous chef. I did that for about a year. And then, believe it or not, before that, I staged at a bunch of places. One of those places being Alinea in Chicago. And believe it or not, I couldn't take that position at the time when I staged. But later on down the road, I was like, it always stuck with me. Like, dude, this restaurant blew my mind. You know what I mean? I went in that restaurant. I was like, anyway, to make a long story short, I ended up moving from Las Vegas to Chicago to work at Alinea. And I did that for a while, as long as I could sustain it,
Okay.
But what people don't realize is in that time, I don't know how it is nowadays, but back when I was working there, that was the hardest restaurant to get in the United States for sure.
Yeah.
Everyone
was talking about Alinea at one point.
Bro, it was dude, I worked there from 2011 around 2013 or something like that. And I'll tell you what, man, it was tough, but I would argue that was probably the creme de la creme time, right?
Yeah.
Number 7 in the world, 3-star Michelin, the only 3 Michelin star restaurant in Chi-Town. And, I worked there while there was one executive chef leaving, another one starting his journey. But then ultimately I ended up proposing to my girlfriend at the time. And so I decided to move back to Las Vegas. The chef at Cut got word that I was moving back. So to make a long story short, Wolfgang Puck's group, they offered me an executive sous chef level at Spago. So
Swaggo. Again,
yeah,
dropping dimes, y'all.
yeah.
I'll
So
make sure everything like goes up into the screen where you're just naming all these restaurants.
yeah. And you know what? Like honestly, I wanted to stick with three Michelin star. I wanted like I had this mindset of I was going to be a three Michelin star chef, blah blah blah, or Michelin
Mm.
star chef. But ultimately that it's not very fruitful. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to be honest. Like look at you drinking out of a deli cup. You know
Whoa.
you from the
Yeah,
kitchen.
it's
You
just
know
like
you from the kitchen when you
I
drinking out
have
of a
like
deli cup.
so many of these like everywhere.
Yeah, me too, me too. But no, so I go back to the Wolfgang Puck group. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm at a point in my career where I have enough experience. I'm in a management level. I need to start building my management resume really good, right?
Mm.
And so then I did. So from within 6 months, I was already at a CDC level, but I
Wow.
came in on fire, bro, like
Mm-hmm.
crushing it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
I flew from Chicago to Las Vegas to do my tasting, completely dominated. You know what
Wow.
I'm saying? Like gave them some shit that you never, hey, you, man, like I remember that tasting specifically, and it was crazy because I was like, "Yep, this is it right here. Like this is
This
this
is
is
it.
gonna be it." Yeah, and so anyway, so I did that, and then the opportunity came to go to Los Angeles to
Mm-hmm.
work at Hotel Bel Air, which Wolfgang Puck took care of the food and beverage department. So
Mm-hmm.
I ended up making a lateral move to be the CDC at Wolfgang Puck at Hotel Bel Air. Then I worked there for about 3 years, 3.5 years, which was great. And honestly, it was a really good job. The only thing is the
Mm.
executive chef decided not to leave after he put in his notice. He's like, "Hey, listen, I don't think I'm going to leave." And I'm like, "Okay, well, it's either going to be me or you." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's like one of the two.
yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. But like, he was smart. He's like, "Listen, I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea for me to leave. So I'm going to stay here." I'm like, "Okay, well, it's time for me to go." But then this is my favorite job to date. I
Mm.
actually took up a job with the Saison Group, Saison San Francisco, three Michelin star. They
Mm.
were working on two new projects, the Angler projects, and
Mm.
so that was probably the most awesome time like I had in the world. It was like for me, I knew this. I had a couple offers to open a restaurant, and I had
Mm.
but you see, this is the thing. A lot of people, like, there is tons of money for people to open a restaurant for you, and they say that you're the chef partner, but that's not really what happens, bro.
I
Okay,
know.
you're working for that investor. You're working for that motherfucker that put up the money. Excuse my language. I don't know if we can curse or not,
No,
but
no, no. We can go
dude, I
all
had somebody offer
all
me
out.
$3 million to put up to, hey, like they were like, "Hey, I really love the way you cook." I did a tasting menu for them. And he's like,
Mm.
"If you ever want to open it, if you ever," this is what he said, "if you ever want to open a restaurant, I'm here for you. I've got $3 million to invest. It's yours. You can own it. You take care of everything." And it's funny because I'm like, "Yes, yeah, that sounds great."
Mm.
But then, thank the Lord, I have a lawyer friend who was able to look
Mm.
at the documents, and he's like, "Hey, bro, hey, this is not your restaurant. Like,"
Red
he's like,
flag.
"You are an employee of said person." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, what does that mean?" He said I would be the owner, like chef owner. He's like, "No, you are an employee of him. So if he comes in and decides, no, I don't want to do this, I want to do this, I have to do it legally."
Correct.
And this is what happens to a lot of chefs. And it's so sad because we don't know, man. We're just so
Mm.
passionate, and it's crazy because, anyway, I'm gonna keep on moving. So anyway, so I
Mm.
finally decided, okay, I want to open restaurants, but I want to use somebody else's money first, right? And so listen, I
Smart.
did that. Yeah, like listen, and so with the Saison Group, obviously it's under Joshua Skeens. He's one of my favorite chefs in the United States because one,
Mm.
he's American. Two, I love he has the best palate in a chef I've ever seen in my life, bro. I
Wow.
swear to God, KC, story time. I made
Wow.
this
Wow.
dish for him. And while we were doing the research and development, and talk about shit in your pants when you're making a dish for a three Michelin star chef.
Huh.
And he's like, "Hey, this tastes great," but he's like, "I think the garlic is sour in this."
Oh, he's one of
And I'm
those.
like,
Oh my god.
"What?" And he's like, the garlic, it's sprouted, it's sour, it's old. And I'm like, "What?" Okay. And I'm like, "Okay,
Wow.
chef." And I'm like, "What? How the fuck would he tell?" Dude, I go back to the garlic, bro, and the germ is coming out of the fucking
And you can
garlic.
see it. Oh my
How the
god.
fuck? Who would even like? And that wasn't in Casey. That wasn't the first time, bro. That
Yeah.
wasn't the first time. He was
That's
like,
just
"Look,
years training, bro. Like you can tell. Like
dog,
it's.
dog,
Oh
dog.
my
I
god.
swear to God, we got this fish. We got this fish from Hawaii, right? This kampachi." And I'm telling the purveyor, like, "Hey," I'm like, "Hey, listen, this fish needs to be fucking fresh. It has to
Mm.
be fresh. Like, don't send it if it's not fresh." But obviously, we're in a time crunch. The weekend passed, so this fish was 3 days out of water.
Oh,
By the time I went to present it whole, like it was the fourth day. And dude, I try to rinse it off, I try to clean it up, and it
of
wasn't bad.
course.
It's not bad. But then he looks at the fish. Hey, he's like, when was this caught? And I'm like, chef, I'm gonna be honest, man. It's not, still breathing. Okay.
Wow.
And he's like, yeah, I think it's about 3.5 days old.
Oh
And I'm
my
like,
God.
what? I'm like, bitch, what? And I'm like, dude, how the
Wow.
and then, but anyway, that was when my respect went. Like, and it was crazy, but I really loved that opportunity because I was able to be the part of the R&D team for that restaurant, and the fact that there's still some of those dishes on the menu that I was a part of is amazing. The fact that they have a Michelin star is amazing. The only thing is for me, my wife was pregnant at that same time, and so I was in LA, but I was working in San Francisco. And I had already played this game with her once because we have an older child. And so for me, it was like they needed me to relocate to San Francisco for the time being. And I'm like, yeah, that ain't going to happen. Like, not unless I have a studio apartment. And unfortunately, the timing was just off, man, and I really love that opportunity. But anyway, then I played the sidelines for a bit. And then now I'm in my current role, which is actually, I really got lucky. And I'm thankfully, I know how to cook really well because I was able to land this job. And, and that's where I'm at, man. And, wow. I think now the goal is just there's a couple things that I want to do. And there's a couple things that I think I'm really passionate about. One is creating content.
Okay.
But it's also, I think what's more important than that is paving the way for the younger generation of chef. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I don't want people to, I had it rough, man. Like, dude, drug addiction, alcoholism, like, dude, mental health issues. Like, I want to help the younger generation of chef, man. Like, there's so many chefs that I reach out to. I'm like, that reach out to me that are like, hey, I'm 17, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, this is like, I want to figure out a way that I can help other young chefs, but also be able to support myself as opposed to like doing it for free. And right now, Casey, I'm in that weird range where it's like, I want to figure out how to monetize properly, but I also want to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I get offers all day for.
I could assume so, man. I'd be like, yo, chef, blah blah. They just throw them. I could definitely see.
Yeah, like especially like for knives, man. I just had this company send me a knife, man, and like I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I had them send me the knife because they were like, hey, would you willing to partnership with us on this knife? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you know what? But I made this mistake before. I need to check out the knife for 2 weeks. And as soon as I got this knife, I knew it was trash. Like. and listen, like I totally get it, but like, dude, the craftsmanship and like it's just rough, man. And like, people say that it's hammered and it's not. It's just painted on, like painted onto it. It's not anyway. But you're better off like if you don't have that much money, get like a Mercer or a Victorinox, like a restaurant knife. The ones
that's
that
all you need.
Seriously, you can keep it sharp with a diamond steel. And it's like some people they make up in their mind that they need to have a $400 or $500 knife. But what ends up happening? You don't use it at work. Correct. You get weird if anybody touches it or if anybody comes close to it. You don't. Or
if you like fucking chip it and you're like, oh my God, I just spent like $500 on this. You're like, oh,
yeah. And the biggest thing is if you don't know how to sharpen. If you don't know how to sharpen your knife and you spend that much money on a knife, you already start off on the wrong foot. But yeah.
Wow. Well, let's see if I can encapsulate that. You're pretty awesome. Two, I think. To give you a background on me, I was a corporate guy. So everything was corporate, just standard stuff. Obviously, there's still an NDA on the company I work for, but, like Chart House, these are already passed. Chart House, Cheesecake Factory. It's funny you say Cheesecake Factory. Yeah. Literally every corporate stuff that you see outside, I probably worked in it at some point. Yeah. And I was raised that way, but I decided I wanted to be a cook because my grandma showed me how to do eggs. When we're still in the Philippines, because I came here in 97, we needed to feed the family, and she was the only cook, and I wanted to help, and that's how it got me started in the whole process. And when I came over to the States, I'm like, well, I don't want to be anything else other than a cook. So how do I do that? I hung out in restaurants. That was my pastime. I put my work in. It's been 20 years now. I think we're the same age. No, I'm 36.
I'm 36 too.
Oh, okay. There you go.
85.
So, 85, baby. I started when I was 16, just kept working up. People kept quitting, as you know, in our industry. A lot of abuse on alcohol. A lot of it's just that's like commonplace in a restaurant. And
if you don't mind me asking, how was your time at Cheesecake Factory? Were you a cook or a manager?
I was the kitchen manager for 6 months. It was horrible.
Yeah, I bet.
It was disgusting.
So I got to be honest, man. When I started, you know what I didn't like? I don't know if they did this when you were there, but everybody threw the portion bags on the ground.
Yep. You know No, we were still doing that. Yep.
Dude,
and I'm like, can't we just get a bucket? Like, I don't understand. Like, fucking put like a garbage bin right there so we can fucking throw the shit. Nope. They just like
nope. No. There. So when I remember when I first started, I'll never forget this, but I was working and I'm getting trained from the guy, and he takes the portion bag and slams it right on the ground. I'm like, why would you do that? We got to walk on that. And I didn't realize this, but it was in the morning. So I started an AM shift, and it was like the first order. Anyway, so we're going out throughout service, and he's throwing these portion bags on the ground. And then I'm like, this seems really, are you sure we're supposed to do this? And I see all the other cooks do it. Then I see them come with the big squeegee and squeegee all the shit all the way to the end of the line. And I'm just like, dude, and I'm like, it's fine. Let's just go through it. I love how they made everything in-house, but like, bro, as far as like learning, and I don't know if it's like that anymore, but
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. They there's no way they could still operate like that. But I remember like leaving there at the bottom, and like my shoes would be so caked up with garbage. And it's funny because that really helped me build like my OCD of not wanting to step on things in the kitchen. So every time I ran a kitchen, we would have no kitchen mats, right? We would have no kitchen mats. The floor would be swept. And like, honestly, I want to be able to walk into my house with shoes, right? Yeah. So seriously, like that was what the term I used. But I remember like specifically like every other kitchen I worked in, like, especially around the fryer, especially around the saute station. Like I always made sure that the floor was clean, because at Alinea, we had carpets on the ground, like food runner mats. Yeah. And we would vacuum them like crazy. And I'm like, this is how it should be. This is what it should be like. Obviously, it can't be like that all the time, right? Like if you're in a banquet or like, obviously like a butcher shop, you know what I'm saying? But I remember that one thing from Cheesecake Factory, and I never forgot it, man. Like I remember like completely getting plummeled with so many damn orders. Like you couldn't even, it's hard to get out.
Oh, bro. But the restaurant we worked, there was a 700 capacity, 700. So literally from 12, literally at noontime, full house. Like it was slammed. And I was just like, what is this life? I don't understand. We had like 20 cooks, literally just all churning out. And then like 3 buildings inside, because we were inside a mall. So it was like sectioned off. You had the main building, you had the little bar, and then you had like a little outside whatever that goes into the mall. Bro, that was hectic. I was just like,
especially for you, for kitchen manager, because you just spend all your time bailing people out.
And I was one of 5.
Because sometimes when you get to the station, it's already too late. You know what I'm saying? The cook doesn't say anything about the mise en place or nothing. Like I used to, before service, because I knew from working from a chef at the steakhouse, I was like, hey chef, I don't know if this is going to be enough portions for today. I don't know if there's going to be enough portions today. And then it's funny because he's like, dude, I love how you like tell me that. He's like, I love how you tell, because he's like, now I know. And then so then the problem is he's like, hey, I want everybody to be like Brandon. If you don't think you have enough, let me know. Even though I checked the prep list, it's good to double check. So then they're like, let's be like the American, because I was the only American in there. You know what I mean? Like, let's just keep it real. It was all Haitians, and they fucking hated Haitian and Latino. And I'm like, dude, why? I'm like, dude, he put me on blast. But it was crazy. But I got to admit, I'm not going to lie. There was one person that I went to culinary school with who started at Cheesecake the same time that I did. So just put that in perspective. He's been there for the last 20 years.
Some people like it. It can't really, as much as I hated the place, it's like to each their own, I guess.
Yeah. He has his own, like, he has his own, I think he has a region now or something like that. He's in the top. He has his own car. They gave him his own car and stuff. So
he's a regional director.
Yeah, that's it. A regional director. And he, and the thing is, but it's funny because like, he can't, his cooking ability is nowhere near what mine is. You know what I'm saying? Which is fine. You have to, it depends on what you want to do. And I think that's totally fine. Yeah. Yeah. So like if you were to put a mystery basket with truffles, truffles, porcini mushrooms, and, a couple other things, he would kind of be like, oh my God, well, what do I do? But at the same time, for me, I can give you a tasting menu. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of some
Yeah.
elegant shit, but it's totally fine. It's like, you have to take in consideration what you want to do.
Now let's talk about that truffle. Now I saw your video with that damn truffle. First of all, excessive. That's excessive, my guy. Second of all, how did it taste?
Which one? Which truffle? Which one?
I think you were the black truffle. Yeah, the black truffle.
Truffle risotto?
Now,
Yeah,
I only ask that because I've never worked with actual truffle. Because one, it's like fucking expensive. Like who would buy that? Something like that.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what? You can get the Australian truffle for a really good price. You can buy just one truffle online. You can just buy just one.
Oh.
Right? Australian is way better. I'm gonna be honest, man. The French black truffles are very expensive. You know what I'm saying? They're double the price because of the shipping. But Australian truffles are not that expensive, and I would argue that they're more fragrant and almost better than French truffles because the French keep the best truffles over there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the way of the world. But the thing is I've ordered a lot of truffles in my time. So every time truffle season comes around, I have like 3 or 4 purveyors reach out to me. Hey chef, do you want some truffles? But like in all honesty, I get them for a deep discount. Deep.
Because you're already in the market. It's like I was on my exec years, I was a fish restaurant. I can't tell you the restaurant.
Yeah.
But whenever I would deal with fish, like I would get the super, super discount. Like it's extraordinary the amount of discounts I can get just on fish. And people will send you stuff. So I definitely understand.
Yeah. So like the good example is like one time I wanted to have a barbecue and my meat purveyor, I was like, hey, I want to order some meat, but it's for personal. And they just gave it to me for free, man. I'm talking like, meat. And it was like, hey, thank you for the business here. This is from us. It's kind of like the same thing with the truffles. So like when Christmas comes around, when Christmas comes around, I'll get some white truffles. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And, just like 1 or 2 pieces, like, hey chef, this is for you, put on your omelet type deal. You know what I mean?
Oh, and put it on your omelet.
Yeah. Like, but I think that's cool. I think it takes time to build up relationships with your purveyors like that,
It does. Yeah. I get that on produce. Like right now, like if I get like little top of the line stuff, they just give it to me. I'm like, wait. I was like, hold on, let me pay for this. Like, give me a little something. Like, nah, it's okay. Just order another one. Been dealing with them for like 20 years, so it's like the same
exactly.
exact thing.
Where are you based out of? You're in Jersey, right?
I am New Jersey.
Yeah.
So I've
no,
I was just gonna say I've staged in New York too. It's quite. I don't know how to kind of say that experience. It's they're like super rough in New York, super cutthroat. Like they don't they just want to cut you down. They literally just want to cut you down. Like they just don't care for your well-being.
I've started in a couple of restaurants in New York, and it was rough, man. But ultimately, I was going to move to New York, but I'm kind of glad I'm kind of sad I didn't. But it would have been good while I was still young. But my brother lives in Jersey. I forgot what part, but he lives closer to Philly.
Oh, okay, so he's down southwest-ish. I'm the north side. I'm literally like 10 minutes away from the city. I can take a bus and be in New York. But yeah, man. So here's a couple of questions, if you don't mind. I call it rapid fire, not really questions.
Yeah.
Absolute pet peeves in the kitchen.
Dirty floor is one of them. I hate it. There's a couple other things, man. Like I hate it when I don't like mindless work. That's one thing that would really, really frustrates me when somebody is not working with a purpose and they're not, just focused on their task at hand. Also, wiping things on the floor. So you know how when somebody's cutting on the cutting board and then they just like they just wipe it on the floor. Yeah. Like, oh, bro, I can't handle that, man. Like you wouldn't do that in your home kitchen.
Correct. Why would you do it in a restaurant?
Yeah. And then also another thing that I don't like, and I tell everybody and I make it clear, don't assume or pretend you know what you're doing. If you don't know, ask. Like it's fine. And I also don't like it when other chefs or chefs that are working with me are not approachable. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, listen, I'm at fault. Like a lot of people tell me they're really intimidated. Like if I'm working in the kitchen, they're like, they'll just, a good example is my previous job at Hotel Bel Air. It was me and the executive chef. And I remember we had a whole female squad of sous chefs, right?
Okay.
And all the cooks and everybody would be so scared to come up to myself or the other chef, but they would always go to the one female chef, the one female senior sous chef all the time. And so she would have to be like the liaison between, us and the cooks. And I always and I remember the HR department was like, hey, you both need to work on that. And I'm like, yeah, you're fucking right. You're right. And I never want to be not approachable. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of chefs can be like that, where they just rather do it themselves and belittle somebody, as opposed to saying, hey, no, actually, I'm going to show you, and taking the time, make eye contact, and show the person the right way. That's
Like
that's
teaching them.
Yeah, exactly. So a good example is like expediting. When you're on the expediting, like, sometimes it's a high pressure situation, but I know that sometimes, before and now, I treat, and I try to do this with all sous chefs and kitchen managers, like, you have to treat your employees like they're your children. You know what I'm saying? I would never fire my 5-year-old son. You know what I'm saying? You know what I would do? I would teach him how to tie his shoes, right? I would take the time, because the problem is like, that's the missing link that was in my career, where I worked for so many chefs that just made me peel vegetables and made me, like, do dumb shit, instead of like, hey, okay, here's this piece of salmon. You are in charge of this piece of salmon.
Yeah.
Knowing damn well I'm going to fuck it up. I would do this. Seriously, at the hotel, I would tell all the cooks, I'm like, listen, I want you to practice butchering. I want you to butcher this fish. Okay, the butcher's going to fillet it, but I want you to make the portions and get comfortable doing this, because this is something you need to learn, where I didn't have that opportunity. Only the sous chefs touch the fish. But guess what? I never got a chance to learn. I had to work a 7th day in the butcher shop to butcher fish. And I had to, you know what I'm talking about? I had to sneak it, bro.
Man. I can tell you the pains of being a poissonnier right now. Ugh,
yeah,
crazy.
and so that's a couple of my pet peeves, man. My biggest ones. Just those 3. I would say those are my top 3.
just the 3 out of 100. That's okay. We'll get to the 100. What do you absolutely refuse to eat?
What? Okay, this is going to be controversial, but I'm going to say it. Okay, man. Okra, man.
Oh my God! No, you didn't.
Dog, I know.
I hate okra. No. I hate okra.
You do?
I'm the only person whenever I ask this question, my background story is, so again, I was raised in the Philippines. My grandmother, out of the blue, one time made okra stew. My guy, okra stew. It looked like ramen to me. I was like 4.
I got chills just thinking about how slimy that was.
So she was like, here you go. It was like in the middle of the summer, so I go into it, and I'm like, Lola is a grandmother in Filipino. And I'm like, why is it that consistent? It's like booger. It's just straight up. Yeah. It's goop. She's like, it's fine. It's delicious. Bro, when I tell you, when I took that bite and I cried, I can never look at okra ever again.
So here's the thing, man. I got to be honest. I am not opposed. Like, I don't want to say this, but like, for me personally, I've had fried okra that was marinated in buttermilk and that buttermilk cornmeal Cajun seasoning that was edible.
Okay.
But it was edible, but it's not like I'm going to go, oh, fried okra. Oh no, I'm not going to order it. No. Listen, I've had it so many different ways. Dude. Mm-hmm. I'm just not a fan.
I can't do it.
I know some people in the South are like, what? Yeah.
I can't do it.
The slime, bro, forget about it, man. Forget about it. Yeah.
Wow.
Okra is one of them. Yeah, okra is one of them. I think that's pretty much it, man. I'm a really big fan of all types of food, but okra is probably the one thing that I'm just like, nah, I'm good. Like, for me, you can leave it out of whatever you're cooking and it'll be fine. It doesn't matter. Think about it. You make gumbo, jambalaya. Bro, think about it. You think you miss gumbo with okra? With or without okra? I know some people will freak out, but like, dude, in all honesty, no,
just put scallions and cornstarch. You're fine.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. For real. That's actually
allergic to any food.
Mm-mm. Just bad food. Allergic to bad food.
Just bad food.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm blessed. Honestly, like, I think the only thing that I have an aversion to is dairy, but I think it's because of my older age. I'll never admit it, but for sure, I think I'm lactose intolerant. And
most of us are lactose intolerant.
Yeah, like I got to be honest, man. Like, I think my stomach could hang earlier in life, but man, now, like, a good example is like, if I want to binge on ice cream like Haagen-Dazs, I got to do it on my day off, bro.
Yeah. I can't. No, same, bro. Like, I eat ice cream at home. I can't do it anywhere else.
And like, so for me, it's kind of like, I know that I'm kind of lactose intolerant. Like, but I don't go drinking milk. I don't I don't do too much cream in anything, but milk, cream, bro, forget about it. Mm-hmm. Lactose, I'm okay, but I don't drink it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I made that lactose-free ricotta cheese the other day, which I think is really good. I think it's really good, but it's because most of my family is well, not my kids, but my wife and I, we pretty much eat like we barely do any dairy, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
But I'll never
We're the
admit it
same.
though. Like I'm not gonna like if I'm in a fine dining restaurant and like we have a cheese course coming up, I'm not gonna say anything. You
Oh,
know
of
what I'm saying?
course. Yeah, yeah.
I'll just and hard cheeses they don't really hurt me that much. But I'm telling you right now, anything liquidy or creamy,
Yeah, it's the soft
bro.
stuff. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm 100% there. I cannot do too much
yeah.
stuff.
Like
I'm allergic to chocolate.
oh, chocolate. Oh, damn, that sucks, dude.
Can't do
Like
it. My brother and
big
I.
time allergic. Like you
So
start
my
breaking out
brother,
hives.
yeah, I get hives on my body, like everywhere. Like
Ooh.
it looks like boils actually, like really painful
Oh,
things.
yeah, that sucks, dude.
My wife loves it though. She'll go in
Yeah,
and start poking stuff, but I can't do chocolate.
yeah.
Favorite food and how do you prepare, or how do you like it if you were just to get it?
Yeah, so my favorite food, man, like I gotta, and I'm gonna just pigeonhole this, but I love Asian cuisine. I love Vietnamese,
Ooh,
Thai, Japanese. I love Japanese food. Like I love how Japanese they just take so much care and pride in their
they
food and what they
do.
eat and how they treat it so simply. But I gotta admit, man, I love food from Filipino food. I love all Asian food, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like if you notice, like a lot of my page is geared towards more like Asian flavors most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's just because I have such an infatuation with the different like techniques, especially with like Chinese cooking, like with actual Szechuan cooking.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much, and I can't wait to go travel Asia. I cannot wait, bro. Because like the thing is once you get over there, it's easy to travel around. It's not that expensive. It's
Correct.
just about getting the plane ticket over there. But obviously, now that I have kids and everything, I'm putting that on the side. But yeah, I love especially Thai and Vietnamese cuisine. This is my pretty much my favorite.
Mm.
But I like. Here's the thing. I like tread lightly because I don't like to offend anybody or anything. Like I know people get a little
Correct. Yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah.
When, you're an American cooking their cuisine, but I gotta
Mm-hmm.
admit, man, I am very proud of like my research on true, authentic restaurants here, especially in SF in Los Angeles.
Mm.
Korean food. I love Korean food, man. And I didn't really know what Korean food was until I lived in Los Angeles. And K Town down there is like
Cape
little
Town
Korea.
down there. Yeah,
You
man.
you in Korea there. I don't care what you say, but it's freaking delicious, man. And I went
Wow.
like I love Korean barbecue. Korean barbecue is probably I would say that is my most enjoyable way to eat. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Me too.
And the reason is because you're grilling, you're cook, you have all the banchan, and I think that's the best way to eat. You're talking about the only thing I don't like is I don't like doing Korean barbecue with my non-chef friends. I know you can feel this because when you go out to dinner
I
as a
do.
chef with other people, guess what, man? Everybody is
You're
asking
cooking.
you, bro, that too, and they asking you 30 million questions. You know what I'm
Of
saying?
course they do. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes it's cool, but like sometimes you just like sometimes you don't even know what it is. You just want to enjoy you just want to enjoy it,
Yeah.
and that happens a lot. Like I remember, like especially with if it's with family or if it's with any other friends, people are, what should I order? What should I get?
Mm.
What is this? What is that? How would that go with this? And it's like, dude, can we just enjoy the meal, man? Like,
I'm just here to
please, for the love of
eat.
God. Yeah, exactly.
Can we just get up? My pet peeve is their scissors. I fucking hate that shit.
Oh,
Like, why do you have to come
yeah,
to my table with scissors? Like, do you now? Granted, they don't understand that I'm a
yeah.
professional also, but like, there's not necessary. I don't want it. I want to cook the entire piece of meat
Yeah,
by
I
itself.
know, man. I know. Cutting it while it's hot too. They
Oh
sear
my
both
god,
sides
yeah.
and
I
then
was just
chopped
like,
up. Yeah, and then you get like anxiety, like, oh my god, I can't believe that just happened. But at the same time, like you got to remember, they're not looking for juicy juicy meat. They're looking to get the shit cooked quickly and safely.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They just like
And
make
so
sure it's out.
once you get that wrapped around your head, it's totally fine. Like, and I gotta admit this. So there was one place that I went. I forgot what it's called, but they use Snake River Farms. They use Snake
Okay.
River Farms meat, beef,
Mm,
and I specifically said like, "Hey, can I have this mid rare?" Like,
yeah.
and it was because it was a lean cut. It was like New York or fillet or something like that.
Mm,
And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We have to cook it all the way." And
yeah.
I'm like, listen here, and I'm like, I've slid her $20. I'm like, just let me
Just
do
let
it.
me
Let me
cook
take care
it.
of it. Yeah,
Let me
and
cook
trust
it.
me, it was so much more enjoyable. And
Yeah.
yeah, she just took that $20 and like shut the fuck up. Like she just
Yeah,
took it
yeah, yeah.
and rolled out.
See, that's the
But
cool thing about Asian things too. Like, if you just ask nicely, they're like, "Yeah, go for
yeah,
it, sure."
yeah, and that's
Not a
the
big
thing.
deal.
I didn't put her on blast. I didn't. I just
Yeah.
like I said, hey, is there any way I can have this? Like, can I have it mid rare? Can I can I cook it myself? Because
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. The more I get older, I prefer like, especially with fish, I prefer like salmon, tuna, hamachi. I prefer it raw over
Yeah.
cooked. Like I'm not going
Raw.
to ask for a halibut cooked, or I mean raw, but I for sure I'm just more appreciative of the texture overall.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with beef. Like with beef, like if it's like beef sashimi or I prefer it like not okay. Well, it's kind of, but like if it's a lean cut of meat, I don't really want it cooked, but I like it like sliced, like how Japanese, like tataki and stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
prefer like that with the dipping sauce, opposed to like having it with a big clunk of scoop of mashed potatoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
obviously, like, and you can tell like nowadays, like the demi-glace era is fading out, bro.
Bro, don't gotta tell me twice. I'm over that shit. Get out of
Yeah,
here. Oh, I'm
and
so
it's
done
funny
with
because it's
that.
like fading out.
I am so over it. Anyway. Two more questions. Have you
Sure.
ever eaten spam?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, actually, I was gonna do a video on it, but in all honesty, I feel embarrassed because I used to eat it as a kid growing up. But
Bro, talking to the crowd
yeah,
right here.
but
It's my favorite
yeah,
thing.
and it's so funny because when tasting it now, I haven't tasted spam in ages, and then it was like 2 weeks back, I got a can, and I went to go taste it, and I seared it with some eggs. Oh, I made fried rice. What am I talking about? I made
Yeah,
spam fried rice. I'm not gonna
that's
lie, it was
it.
legit, but I don't like
Bro,
spam by itself. I like
so
it
good.
cubed up, and fried rice is amazing. Cubed up to add to a soup. I treat it just like a hot dog. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Yep. Yeah, a
most
little bit
definitely.
of mustard, but yeah, the spam's good.
And then last question, right? As we're gearing to pretty much end the show, would you, if you don't mind, would you participate in a culinary plate, as we say? So my sous chef and I, Sean, usually when we're in a restaurant, I was like, Sean, I need a dish. I don't know, fucking for like September or some shit. Let's just put
Mhm.
together. Let's brainstorm. Blah blah. What do you think, etc. Would you care to banter with me, see if we can come up with a dish specifically for the fall, though? Because I mean, we're talking restaurant wise. Even in my restaurant, we're switching to the fall menu right now because there's only
Yeah,
only 2 more weeks literally for August, and then the last week of August literally transitions into September. So for me, at least for me, what we would do is we would transition right into the fall menu right now.
sure.
Um,
Yeah,
how do you feel about fall? What are some of
yeah.
the things that make you think?
So my favorite season is spring and summer, but I love fall too. And actually, especially like it's kind of hard to say in California because the seasons don't change like they do in Jersey or Chicago or you know
Mm,
what I'm saying. So it's kind of like hot. It's hot here all the way until freaking November. But was that you? Okay.
yeah.
Um,
So I'm gonna write it
and
down.
But yeah, but I'm totally down, man. I love doing fall dishes. I love it when the seasons change and it's like you haven't worked with something for a long period of time. I love root vegetables. So like
Okay.
parsnip, carrot, rutabaga. I do a side dish with ras al hanout,
Okay.
roasted vegetables. And then I also love during the fall, I love game birds with some type of dried fruit. The only problem is game birds do not sell. That's the problem. We
Well, okay. So here's the thing. I've sold squab quite a bit. Like
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's the most accessible one for all the game birds. It's cheap
Yeah.
enough too. It's not too crazy. It won't kill your P and all that. But how do you feel about birds like such? Because I mean, if you go even more, what's the other one? Um,
There's duck, there's quail.
Not duck. Quail. Maybe I'm thinking quail. Quail. It'd be like if you say quail, people. I mean, unless you're Asian, they're not really gonna go for a quail. But squab, however,
Yeah.
it's pretty known cuisine wise.
Yeah.
Um, how
There's
would
also pheasant.
you? There's also pheasant, aka
Yeah.
pigeons. I know a lot of people don't like to say those words. they think
Yeah, well, I
they
would say
think
I
like
would say the
household.
squab is more close to a pigeon, like a
Mm,
domesticated pigeon. But like the thing is game birds I know are really hard to sell because the thing is you have to undercook them. You have to cook them
you do.
rosé.
It needs to be
You know
pink.
what I'm
Yep.
saying? Or else they're not delicious. So
Mm,
if you can't get over poultry being that temperature, it's rough. It's a rough sell. But I will admit, you could easily substitute that with duck confit. You know
a
what I'm saying?
confit. A confit
Yeah,
would
like
do.
confit duck. And I make a really good confit duck terrine that's like beautiful. But then
Mm.
I love like fall herbs to go with that. So like sorrel, the multicolor sorrel that Chef's Garden
Mm.
has. Any type of what's another like I don't know, like fall flavors. So like, allspice, especially like
allspice.
any type of like roasted or caramelized honey to go with that. In any of the berries that are coming towards the end of season, there's a lot of ways, there's a lot of different ways you can do it, especially like with appetizers,
Mm-hmm.
any type of tart or like warm apple or pear, especially
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, like I remember doing this, fig tart with blue cheese and like,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it doesn't sound good, but dude, that shit sold like hotcakes, man.
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
That sounds
yeah, like
great.
fig tart or pear tart, like as an appetizer, not as a dessert, not as a dessert, and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. I love, but like during the fall, I love, messing. Once I get the ingredient, that's when I start like immediately start the brain starts going off.
Mm-hmm. Are you a microgreens guy or are you more of a purist?
Yeah, so like I always bounce back and forth. I think in a restaurant setting, I think your best bet is to use microgreens, and the reason why is because everybody takes a photo with Instagram, and like microgreens just make it look better. But I am a
Mm-hmm.
firm believer that the microgreen has to taste like something. So that's
Yes.
why,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
that's why I don't mess around with fresh origins at all because their
Mm-hmm.
microgreens don't taste like anything because they're hydro grown. But Chef's Garden really does have really good product, and I got to admit it's pricey, but you have to just use it like you would a garnish. Like some of these flowers that they have, dude, they're like 50 cents each. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like we buy right
So
now, we buy nasturtiums and they're like, I think $13 for a tub of 4 ounce. I think they're pricey. They're
yeah,
they're a little
yeah.
they're a little thing,
But
but
the good thing about that is you can get them to the size that you want. And I
yeah.
hate to say it, but nasturtium here in California grows wild.
Well, you know what? We can't always have the good things in life here. Okay, Brandon, I
Yeah,
have to.
that's why I did. That's why I
We
told
gotta
my
go.
wife because like we were thinking about moving out of California, but like, dude, I gotta admit, man, there's so many. Like, I have my next door neighbor has two avocado trees. I have a fig tree in my front yard. I have
Wow.
a tangerine tree, a sumo tangerine tree in my front
Mm-hmm.
yard. Like California is like the breeding ground for really good fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Especially, I would argue that California is probably the best in the United States, better than New York. The only thing is the tropical fruits. I think Florida has the better tropical fruits.
Yep. Most definitely. It's just all based on climate too. I mean, you can go Southern California, but it's not as humid, I guess per
Yeah,
se. Than Florida. Florida's like
yeah, maybe.
prime for
Yeah, Florida's like the freaking Bahamas, dude. It's crazy.
yeah.
I used to live in Florida, so
So you would know. Got it. Okay. Well, I will get back to you on our findings. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do maybe like a roasted preparation on all the
yeah.
on the veggies. I don't want to do it serene because I think it'll be too excessive. I do tasting menus, by the way, on my restaurant. So this would
Okay.
be maybe a third course, like a finisher
Yeah.
course, if anything.
Yeah, that sounds dope.
Yeah, no, but that is pretty awesome. But nothing too crazy though. I really do appreciate you taking the time and talking
Yeah.
to me and all that. But the final question, let's just say, what are if you were how do I word this? I'm pretty sure you've answered this on most of your videos too. But as an up and coming chef, what is the best suggestion or the best tip you can give them without knowing what they're going to go through or whatever? What is just
Yeah.
that one sentence you're going to say to them that you think they should implement to make them stick into
Well,
their
there's a
culinary?
two-part sentence to that. So basically, or two-part answer. One is take care of yourself,
Got it.
mentally, physically, health-wise. Because I will be honest, if it wasn't for staying healthy and being like I joined CrossFit like quite a while back, bro, I was 250 pounds in
Oh wow.
downward spiral. I don't drink alcohol, but like, dude, I'm telling you right now, like my knees are hurting, like just from working, standing up all day. So one is take care of yourself, and two is invest in yourself. Eat
Mm,
at top end restaurants for research and development. Make sure you have your face in books, ebooks, courses, whatever you can do to educate yourself on becoming a better chef, because knowledge is power. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's really important. And it's really easy to buy a cookbook and read through it and try to make some dishes out of it. You know?
mm. Wow.
Yeah.
That's some knowledge for you right there. And then sub of that, how do you feel about actual chefs on social medias? Now, I take a jeer at that because my
Yeah.
name is Chef Salty, right? But even in my restaurant, I don't have people call me a chef. The salty, the tag there, because I tend to salt, like a saltier taste on my food, so it tends to be a
Yeah.
little salty. So Chef Salty, for me, it fitted. So
Yeah.
it was more of a satire thing on TikTok. But how do you feel when somebody be just like, oh yeah, no, I'm a chef. I do all this stuff. What is your take on that? Because I often put people down.
Yeah.
I
mean,
get into their
honestly,
face.
you know what? That's a great question. And, here's the thing, man. Like, I think, okay, it's kind of tricky, but if you want to call yourself a chef, you better be ready to back it up. Okay.
Ah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to call yourself a chef, you better be ready for a motherfucker like me or a motherfucker like you to be questioning, like, where's your training? I want to see your resume. Because here's the thing. The fact that it took us years to accomplish to get to that title, right? It's not a walk in the park. And just because you want to, throw your name up in a username and then consider yourself a chef, even though when you just cook at your house, there's nothing wrong with being a home cook. There's nothing at all.
Yeah.
Like, and I would argue that some home cooks are better than some of the chefs I know. But here's the thing. Also with usernames, that doesn't really bother me at all. Like if somebody wants to say, "Oh, I'm Chef Amy" or "I'm Chef Adam," like I don't really care. Like a username is a username. Like good examples, Dr. Dre is Dr. Dre, but he's not a doctor. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of analogy that I use. But ultimately, yes, I see it way too often where, somebody goes out, they order a chef jacket online and then they put their name on it and then they, they're in there. Like, I think it's so weird when somebody's in their home kitchen having a chef jacket on
with your name on it.
And some people do that, dude. And some people do that. And I'm like, that's weird. When I'm at my house, I'm at my house, my guy. There is times like where if I have to film like a video late night and I get off work, then, like sometimes I don't wear an undershirt under my chef coat.
Yeah,
but
you just have the jacket on. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna film real quick before I go wake up the kids. But yeah, I think it's a gray area. But I gotta admit, nowadays the chef title has been kind of bastardized, and so sometimes I like to set the record straight. Like listen. And then there's these other things where, like, a good example is like one of the cooks that worked for me. He went straight from cook to executive chef.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Right.
Wow. Okay.
He doesn't work there anymore because he wasn't ready for the position. But that's so many restaurants, investors are just, making cooks chefs now because they have no choice. And so he went from a cook to executive chef. So I'm over the phone with him, teaching him how to do a P&L. And I'm like, hey, all right. I'm like, hey, I'll talk to you later, chef. And he's like, wait, what? And like, he was really confused. I'm like, well, listen, even though like, in your eyes, you don't feel like you're a chef, you are considered a chef now because you manage a kitchen. You run a kitchen.
You are the guy, yeah.
Yeah, this is you the man. Now, then there's also, I know that there is, I think the term chef, comes from your colleagues as well, right? So when I worked at Alinea, we all called each other chefs because it's something we were aspiring to be. Here's a good example, Culinary Misfits on TikTok. He, he's a private chef, but he never went to culinary school. He never stepped foot in a restaurant, but his clients call him a chef. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, what are you supposed to say to that? No, he's not a chef. No, he's running a business. He's running a kitchen. Like just because he didn't work in a restaurant or has a culinary background doesn't make him a chef. He is getting paid for cooking. Now, whether or not he's a good chef or not, I have no idea. Like, that's not my, you know what I'm saying? That's up to his clients. So it's very tricky, but at the same time, some people don't like to hear it, and I just let them know. A good example of this is a lot of people ask me if Nick Giovanni is a chef.
Oh.
And yeah, and like, you can honestly look at him and say, okay, no, he's not a chef. Like, but here's the thing. I made a video about it. It almost went viral. I was like, listen, no, I don't consider him a chef. Just because he went on to, whatever it was,
Master Chef or something, right?
Yeah, Master Chef, and he won third place. That doesn't make him a chef. And then somebody commented like, "Oh, well, but the show says you become a chef." I'm like, dude, it's a fucking reality show, man. Like, I'm sorry, bro. They make poor people like you believe this storyline, and they do a really good job at it. I lived in LA for 4 years, so I know exactly what it is. And what people don't realize is all that Gordon Ramsay shit is fake, man. It's fake. They build this scenario. They build it. They put like Hell's Kitchen Nightmare. They put people there that can't cook. Like me or you would never be able to be on that show because we are, you know what I'm saying? They put people that don't know how to cook on that show. Anyway, so it's funny because I'm like, listen, Nick Giovanni is not a chef, but what does it matter? He makes more money than any of us chefs out here right now. Okay. Like, who cares? Like, if I
Correct.
was in his shoes, I wouldn't want to go back to get the chef title. Who gives a shit? It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I wouldn't.
He's making more money off YouTube than I made last year, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this is what you have to take in consideration. Now, if he wants to go around and say, oh, yeah, being a chef is hard, like, who cares? Like, that's his business. He can do whatever he wants. But it's funny because he commented in my comment section and he's like,
Ah,
you know what? I agree with that perspective. I never put in the work to be a chef. So I actually
ah,
agree with you.
there
And
you
I'm like,
go.
okay, I got mad respect for you now. But like, here's the thing, man. It's like I stay in my lane and I focus on me. I will say the only thing that frustrates me, that if you are saying that you are a trained chef and then you are teaching other people, I have a problem with that. You know what I'm
Ah,
saying?
I
Right.
got
So
you.
I have a problem with this. There was somebody online who was butchering a salmon, calling himself a chef. He's not a chef, and he's butchering this piece of salmon and he's filleting it all fucked up. And I'm like,
Mm,
dude, do not teach people this technique, man. Like, there's a difference between a chef and a fisherman or a captain of a ship that
mm,
is butchering a fish for retail service. You know what I'm saying?
correct.
And he's
Totally
teaching these
different.
people. Yeah, it is. And it's like, listen, like, look, fishermen, they fillet fish on the side of the boat. Guess where they throw the fillet? Right on the dock. They throw it right on the floor. In
Mm,
a chef's eyes, we would never do that. We would never do that. Your cutting board is clean. Your
mm.
utensils are clean. It's like surgery. It's like a doctor's office. You know what I'm saying? You clean the fish, you skin it, whatever. And so I have a problem with that. I'm like, listen, don't call yourself a chef and teach other people when you don't have the credentials. That's not, it's, you know what I'm saying?
I understand
Now
you.
a lot of people get that confused with, oh my God, you're gatekeeping. No, like, dude, if you want to hop on here and show your twist on a recipe, who cares
Go
about
for
that?
it.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. If you want to tell people the temperature and the time for baking and tempering chocolate, and you're not a trained professional, bitch, get the fuck out of here. That's my problem. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
100%. Because
Like,
I get the comments quite a bit too
yeah, but have
online.
you seen that? There was that viral video of that guy, the French kid who he said, like, he's like, there are no good French baguettes in America. And then he's like, so I had to make my own. And then he's going teaching people how to make this fucking
How to
baguette.
make
And I'm
his,
like,
yeah, no, I actually remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, bitch, that's not how you make a baguette. And I'm like, what about Tartine Bakery? What about Paillard in New York City? There's so many good French baguettes. And he just lives in bumfuck Maryland. You know what I'm saying? And then it's funny because
Doesn't know any better.
yeah, there's another girl on there who, she has her own bakery, and she's like, okay, I'm going to show how to make a French baguette. And she made the poulet. She made the like, she made it start to finish, and she was teaching correctly because she is a leader. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
I don't like it when somebody else, like, okay, and don't get me wrong, he didn't say he was a chef, but
yeah. But he was
just because you're,
pretending to be. It was
you
almost
know,
like I'm
yeah,
better than,
yeah,
etc.
I'm going
Yeah,
to show
yeah.
you how to make this French baguette, bro. You don't know, like, dog, I can make a better baguette than that, and I wouldn't teach people how to do that.
Yeah.
Same thing. I'm not a
Awesome.
good baker. I don't claim to, I have an international bake. I have a baking and pastry degree,
Mm,
but like, if somebody asks me for baking advice, I know the general of it, but I always push them to one of my chef friends, right? So sourdough Duffy or a pastry chef. And I say, hey, look,
yeah,
learn from
yeah.
this guy, go follow this guy because he's much better skilled in this area, you know?
Mm,
And I think that's how us chefs deal with it. But,
awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, like I mentioned, I truly appreciate your time. I know you're
yeah.
over there. It's still in the morning for you. I'm past noon here, but
Yeah. Well,
nonetheless,
I'm on vacation right now. So,
oh, you're on
so
vacay.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's dope.
Well, I'm not on vacay, but I'm definitely off Monday, Tuesday. So that's the cool thing about our restaurant that we're running right now. Definitely off Monday, Tuesday, and then
That's dope.
I just work the 5 days. But it's fully
Yeah.
intensive, like I said, tasting menu. But nonetheless, again, I just want to thank Chef Brandon Dearden. You
Yeah.
can check him out on TikTok, Chef Authorized. I don't remember your actual YouTube name. If you don't mind, just
YouTube.
if you have like
Yeah, just type in Brandon Dearden and you will see it. You will see it if you type in Brandon Dearden, my full name.
got it.
I have a URL like on my link, on my Beacons link, but also, and then my IG is at BD Chef.
At BD Shop. Got it.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure all your stuff is actually underneath this episode so they can actually just
Yeah.
click onto it.
Okay,
find
and yeah,
it.
and I'll promote it too on my
Yeah,
on my IG
absolutely.
and TikTok.
Other than that,
We should
like
do
I
it
said,
again, man. We should do it again. This was fun.
oh yeah. Lots more stuff. I want to get into like tools and stuff and how to keep it. Like there's so much to talk about. There's really everything else. And my favorite, and I think we should share like not war stories per se, but my favorite thing was when I was hiring like a sous chef or whatever, and they said they're a sous chef, I would take my P&L and be like, here, tell me what's in it.
Ooh, that's a good one, bro. That's actually smart.
Be like, hey, you know it, right? You're a sous chef.
Yeah.
I should expect you to know this. Tell me what's in front of you.
What is P&L?
Tell me what's in front of you. Break it down per week, per sale. Let me at it. And then I can sift out a little like 90%. You're just like,
And you know what? The thing is I got to admit that was like that was like the double-edged sword, because that was what made me realize, okay, oh shit. Oh, we made $14 million in and I get what? I get how much money? And then what my bonus is what? I'm like, dude, this is, I'm like, and I remember telling the chef, like, we're held accountable for all of this and we get nothing. All we get is hammered on, like, so, and I had a problem with that. That's what made me realize, like, okay, this is dumb. You're managing a restaurant that's making X amount of dollars, and you like, yeah, we signed up for our salary, but at the same time, dude, after like 3 to 5 years, I want a piece of that pie. I want some equity, you know?
Yeah. You're putting in that work, you better get some. So
yeah,
I'm all for it.
But it's all good. Yeah, we should figure it out. We'll offline. We'll text back and forth of some ideas to throw around. Because I think this is a good idea, especially if we can hop on for like an hour once a week. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely down for it.
Yeah.
That's okay. Like cool. I said, Chef Authorized. Check him out on TikTok. Everything else, all the details and links underneath below. You can definitely follow him out. Extremely talented, my guy. Leagues and beyond. He worked at Michelin's. I haven't worked at Michelin's yet, but different perspectives on different spectrums. So other than that, don't nothing too crazy.